Viewers, I'm going to tell you an incredible story. Story of how I met Your Mother. See, 6 years ago, before I was making YouTube videos, I had this whole other life. It was 2014. I was 16 and just beginning to make it as a theater kid. My life was awesome. Tell some girl named Savannah had to mess the whole thing up. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dylan, and I am a full-time content creator here on YouTube. I also stream on Twitch every Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7 p.m. You can catch me at twitch.tv/DillShelby13. And in today's video, I want to talk to you about how I met the show, How I Met Your Mother, my favorite show, and in my opinion, the greatest sitcom of all time. And I want to share with you some of the life lessons that I've learned from the show, so that way you can apply them to your life. So back in 2014, it was my sophomore year of high school. I was just getting into theater, and there was this girl in my theater class, and her and I kind of just clicked. We got along really well. We talked like almost every day. And this was about the time the final season of How I Met Your Mother was airing. And I hate that I got into the show so late, but I didn't really watch much TV growing up as a kid, so I never really, even really knew that the show existed. Like I knew of the show, but didn't realize how big it actually was until I started watching it at the end of its run. So just as the ninth season was getting set to air, this girl was like talking about it more and more. So she gets about halfway through season 9, and she gets to the episode where Marshall Let me explain this without spoiling it. She gets to the episode where Marshall thinks that he can walk, but turns out that he can't, and then something else big happens to him in the episode. Not the thing that happens to him at the end of the episode, the thing that happens to him like right at the beginning of the episode. So she's on that episode, and she goes, "Wasn't it so cute how that went down?" And I was like, yeah, great episode. That was beautiful episode. Great episode. Obviously, it was a great episode. Don't get me wrong. It was great. It was a great episode. But to this point, I hadn't seen a single episode of the entire show, so I had no idea what she was talking about. So I made it my mission that night to start watching How I Met Your Mother. And I just fell in love from the pilot episode. I mean, because it's not like any other show on television. And I don't think that there's any show that can ever compare to the greatness of How I Met Your Mother. In every aspect of the word, it is a sitcom. But in every aspect of the word, it's not a sitcom. And that's, I think, what makes it such a great show. And it redefines the sitcom genre in such a wonderful way. So, think of some of the most popular sitcoms of all time, like Seinfeld. Seinfeld's whole premise is that it was a show about nothing. Clearly, How I Met Your Mother has a premise from the title, How I Met Your Mother. Oh, so there's a story here. So he's telling the story of how he met our mother. Because, he met my mom. That's what I got from the title. But there's an end game there, There's a story that unfolds and you get to an end game. And I think that's what made the story that much more successful, is that it had that end game, that it was all leading somewhere, that you could pay attention, that there was going to be foreshadowing. There's foreshadowing just in the title, How I Met Your Mother. Clearly, this ends with him meeting their mother. But the thing with How I Met Your Mother is there's no other show on television quite like it. There's never been a show on television quite like it. The only show I can even vaguely compare it to would be Friends. But the issue with Friends, and why it is, in my opinion, the worst sitcom ever made, yes, you can fight me in the comment section below. Yes, I know I don't need to give you permission to do so. But the reason I think that Friends is one of the worst sitcoms of all time is because it tried to have these complex storylines, and they were so messy and unorganized and just all over the place that it didn't feel right for the type of show that it was. With How I Met Your Mother, right from the beginning, you know that there's going to be complicated storylines. So you're kind of set into that idea from the get-go. With Friends, it's not the same thing. It's about a bunch of friends that live in New York. It shouldn't really be any more complicated than that. And the fact that they tried to make it more complicated than that is why I think the show sucked. Obviously, it was hugely popular. Ran for 10 years. But it sucked. It sucked. It wasn't even funny anyway. So, I don't know. Again, comments. Prove me wrong. You won't, but hey, you got a keyboard, so, type away. And as I was getting through the show, I started connecting and falling in love with it more and more. The further you get into it, the more you fall in love with the show because it has such a rich storyline. And I mean the character development between each of these individual characters. My favorite character is Barney. A lot of people are surprised when I tell them that because I also tell them that Allison Hannigan, who plays Lily, is my favorite actress. So they're a little shocked to hear that Barney would be my favorite character. And no, it's not because I look like Neil Patrick Harris, although, thank you. But it's because he has such a great character development, and I just relate to his character so much. So, his character grew up without a father. I grew up without a father. So I understand, his abandonment issues because I share some of those same abandonment issues. And you really see, at the beginning of the show, he just seems like this womanizing dick. But the further you get into it, the more you start to understand why he's such a womanizing dick, and you have an appreciation for him and his character in a way that, you wouldn't if they didn't take the time to explain this character and to develop this character. Then, you just go the whole show oh, he's just the comic relief. But he's not the comic relief. His storyline, his character is key to the story, and he's just such a good character. I mean, one of my favorite episodes is when Barney meets his dad, and I don't know if that's a spoiler, but I'm saying it anyway. Again, show's been off the air for 6 years. The episode where he meets his dad aired 10 years ago, so I'm saying this. But he meets his dad, and it's just such it really tugs at your heartstrings. This is not a character that you really see getting real emotional, and as the show gets on, he gets more and more vulnerable, especially in this particular episode. There's one great scene where he's having dinner with his dad's wife, and his half brother, and he's making jokes about his half brother, and because he's jealous that his brother gets to have this this great life with his dad, and he gets abandoned by this man. And so one of the jokes that he makes to his half brother is about his half brother's name JJ, and he goes, JJ, what does that even stand for? Jerky jerk face? And then his dad goes, oh no, it's Jerome Jr. JJ stands for Jerome Jr. And then Barney kind of just it just hits him. It's like a reality. He gets a reality check, and he's like, oh, he's named after you. And so he walks out to the front porch where JJ has a basketball hoop, and Barney's trying to tear the basketball hoop off of the garage. And his dad comes out and he's yelling at his dad. He's like, it's not fair. It's not fair that he gets a loving dad. He gets a nice home. And he gets a basketball hoop. He's like, no, I'm taking the basketball hoop. And he has this real good, conversation with his dad about being abandoned. And he tells his dad, he's like, you're just some lame suburban dad. And he goes, why does that make you so mad? And Barney says one of not my favorite line. That's a lie. He has one particular line in the finale that's actually a lot better than this line, but this is probably my second favorite Barney line in the entire show. And he goes, because if you were gonna be some lame suburban dad, why couldn't you have been that for me? And it kind of just, that line just like hits you. Like you start to realize that this is a character with a lot more emotional distress than you were even ready for in a sitcom. And the show does a great job at doing that, at creating these complex storylines within each character, so that way you can understand each character better. In a way that, that you wouldn't with Seinfeld. In a way that you wouldn't with Friends, even though they really tried to push that for some reason. In a way you wouldn't with Cheers, with Frasier. They just don't have these complex storylines. And that's usually what makes sitcoms so successful, is that they're just shows that you can just sit there and watch and go, oh, whatever, okay, we'll watch season 5, episode 3, and then we'll watch season 1, episode 2, because it doesn't really matter if we watch these episodes out of order. But with How I Met Your Mother, there's a story. You have to watch these episodes in order because there's a story that is unfolding within the entire plot. Now, that doesn't mean you can't watch them out of order, but you really don't want to. So you can take individual episodes and just sit and watch. Oh, let me watch this episode, and then, let me watch this episode. And that's what makes it a sitcom by every definition, is that each episode has a beginning, has a middle, and has an end. There's an issue that arises, so we get introduced to the situation. An issue arises. We see the outcome of the problem, and then the problem gets solved, and then the episode ends, whether it's just a strict ending or a cliffhanger that's built upon within that season or within the rest of the series. So by every definition, it is a sitcom, but by every definition, it's not a sitcom. And on top of the great character development, the convoluted storyline, there's just so many great life lessons that can be taken away from the show, because not only is future Ted telling the story to his kids saying, hey, this is how I met your mother, he's saying, hey, this is how I met your mother, and these are the lessons I learned along the way from the mistakes that I made, so that way you don't make these same mistakes or waste your life trying to learn something that I've already learned that I can teach you. And there's one great episode in season 1 that I think encompasses this idea as a whole, and it's called Milk. And the reason the episode's called Milk is because at the beginning of the episode, Ted takes a drink of milk and then realizes that it's spoiled and spits it out. And there's this joke between him and Marshall, and he goes, Marshall goes, oh yeah, that got me yesterday. And Ted's like, well, why didn't you throw it away? And then he proceeds to put the milk back into the fridge. And a little continuity error within that episode is that, or at least just within that scene, is that Lily makes pancakes. Like in that scene, he puts the milk back in the fridge, and then Marshall proceeds to eat pancakes and says, oh, these pancakes are delicious. And you're just sitting there like, those pancakes were made of spoiled milk. I don't know if that's necessarily a continuity error, or if spoiled milk and pancakes taste fine, or if she used a substitute. But yeah, I just thought that was really weird that he drinks spoiled milk and then, like, not even within the next breath, Marshall's taking a bite of pancakes and saying that they're delicious. And then there's another part in the episode where Ted gets some food, and the waitress says, careful, the plate's hot, and Lily's like reaching out to touch it, and so Ted goes, go ahead. She touches it, and she's like, sweet damn, that's a hot plate. And then Ted gets set up with a matchmaker. Gar gets set up by a matchmaker for a blind date that he's supposed to go on. And while he's waiting for this blind date, he gets a call from Lily, and she says, hey, I'm in Dutchess County. Can you come fix a flat tire? And Ted has no idea what the hell Lily's doing in Dutchess County. For those of you who don't know, Dutchess County is very far away from Manhattan. Very far away. You can Google Maps it. It's very far away. So he jokes about how he spent like $110 on a taxi to get him out to Dutchess County to fix this flat. And he asks her, what are you doing out here in Dutchess County? And Lily says she has this interview with this art program in San Francisco that she wants to, pursue, or at least just to see if she can get in. And Ted says, no, it's a mistake. And then Lily delivers one of my favorite Lily moments in the entire show. And she goes, yes, I know it's a mistake, but sometimes when you know something's a mistake, you have to make the mistake, because then you go your whole life not knowing if something is a mistake or not. Or see if I can get this line off of memory. Okay, yes, it's a mistake. I know it's a mistake, but there are certain things in life when you know it's a mistake, but you don't really know it's a mistake, because the only way to know if it's a mistake or not is to make the mistake and look back and go, yep, that was a mistake. So really the bigger mistake would be to not make the mistake, because then you'd go your whole life not knowing if something is a mistake or not. And damn it, I've made no mistakes. I've done all of this, my life, my relationship, my career, mistake-free. Does any of this make sense to you? And he goes, I don't know. You said mistake a lot. There's a reason that she says mistake so much in this line, and it just, because it emphasizes the fact that, again, she's right. She's absolutely 100% right. Is that sometimes we have to make mistakes. That's a part of life. That making mistakes is a part of life. I actually had a teacher in high school, and he had a poster up in his room, and it said, have you made a good mistake today? And it's absolutely right. You have to make mistakes in life, because that's how you learn. That's how you learn in life, is by doing something, making a mistake, even if you know it's a mistake. Some mistakes that you know are mistakes have to be made. And that's the point that he was trying to make, like with the milk, or with the hot plate. Or there was another scene with Barney, and he was pranking a guy who worked in another building, and he was sending him mice in a cardboard box. Now, I don't need to tell you that mice can chew through cardboard to let you know how this ended up for Barney. Because sometimes we have to make mistakes, even really, really dumb mistakes. So Lily ends up stranding Ted in Dutchess County so she can go see if she can get into this art program. So Ted calls Barney, and he's in the middle of putting mice in a cardboard box with Marshall. And so he's like, hey, can you come pick me up in Dutchess County? I'm apple picking. And he goes, what? You're in Dutchess County? And the Marshall takes the phone. He's like, dude, what are you doing in Dutchess County? He's like, damn, can a brother go apple picking without getting the 3rd degree? And Marshall says, no, I'll come get you. I'll come get you. And Ted's like, no. I'm fine. I'm actually not in Dutchess County. That I gotcha. And Marshall's like, the joke is that you're not in Dutchess County? He's like, yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it? So he ends up calling Robin to come pick him up from Dutchess County. So they're riding back to Manhattan, and they kind of just have this conversation where he realizes that he's still in love with Robin. So he ends up bailing on his blind date from the matchmaker because he wants to get Robin. Now, he's already failed several times to get Robin. And so Marshall, when he tells Marshall that he wants Robin back, he's like, no, it's a mistake. it's a mistake. And Ted just looks at Lily and goes, yeah, but it's a mistake I have to make. I mean, that's just one of the great life lessons that I've learned from this show. And that's not even the first big life lesson that they give you. If anything, the first big life lesson that they give you in the show is nothing good happens after 2 a.m. Anybody who has ever went out after 2 a.m. can probably attest to the fact that nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m. So while I could go on and on about all these different life lessons, that would take too long, and I don't think you want to be watching this video that long. So I'm going to kind of just do a quick run through of some of my favorite life lessons that I've learned from the show. And I even have my journal here with all of them written down. So that way, I don't have to pull them from memory. So, here we go. Don't chase after what doesn't work. Let the universe take over. If it doesn't work, let it go. If it's meant to be, it'll be. If it's not meant to be, don't force it to be. Things happen for a reason. Don't give up crazy times with your friends. You know, suddenly one day, you won't be able to have crazy times with your friends anymore. And you'll regret not having crazy times with your friends when you could have crazy times with your friends. Miracles happen. Just because a situation seems impossible to get out of doesn't mean that it actually is impossible to get out of. Miracles happen. Something that you thought was bad now may not seem that bad later on. You know, perspectives change. That's part of life. That's part of growing up. You know, your perspective change. Whatever that is. Maybe, you know, you're like right now, you're like, oh, I don't want to have kids. But then in 10 years, you've got kids. Perspectives change. Perfect isn't always perfect. Stop chasing down this idea of perfection because it doesn't exist. And if you keep searching for perfection, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be satisfied. You're going to keep wanting more and more. So accept the fact that perfect isn't always perfect. Some people have expiration dates. You know, again, some things aren't meant to last that long. One of my favorite quotes is, everybody comes into your life for a reason, a season or a lifetime. Sometimes it's a season. Some people have expiration dates. And by the way, that's not actually a quote from How I Met Your Mother. That's a quote from, I can't remember the guy's name, but it's not from How I Met Your Mother. Don't postpone joy. You never know when a supervolcano is going to explode. So don't postpone joy. Wait for it. One of Barney's, probably Barney's number one catchphrase is, it's gonna be legend. Wait for it. Dairy. Wait for it. Just wait for it. Whatever it is you need to wait for, just wait for it. Important moments shouldn't be wasted. Don't let important moments slip by the wayside. Because some of those important moments are some of the greatest moments, are going to be some of the greatest moments of your life, some of the greatest memories you have. Be clear about the things that you say. So, communication is key in any relationship. And if you're not clear about the things you say, you could end up hurting someone's feelings for no reason. Just because you said one thing but meant another. So, just be clear about the things you say. So there's one theory that Lily has in one of the episodes, and it's called the front porch test. And it's basically if she can see herself sitting on the front porch with somebody when she's 80, then that person's worth keeping around. If you can't see yourself sitting on a front porch with somebody when you're 80, they're probably not worth keeping around. The talk is difficult. The talk is uncomfortable. But it's important. Again, it goes back to the whole communication in a relationship. Define the relationship. It's uncomfortable. Nobody likes to have the talk, but it is important. Don't just search for somebody who tolerates your quirks. Search for somebody who loves them and embraces them and cherishes them, because they're a part of who you are. And if somebody's not going to love your quirks, they're not going to fully love you. And, well, then they're not the one. Some people are worth a lot of work to keep around. One of my favorite lines from the show is future Ted saying to his kids, "You'll be surprised, kids, how sometimes in life you can just part ways with people forever." So when you find someone you want to keep around, you do something about it. And last, but certainly not least, get out of the house, go for a walk, get a bagel. Now, in this particular episode, Ted's telling his kids that moments in your life aren't necessarily going to be defined by the things you do, they'll be defined by the things that happen to you. And he says, of course, that doesn't mean you can't take action to affect the outcome of your life. You can take action, and you have to. But on any given day, you could step outside, and your whole life could be changed forever. And he goes on about, how, like, a butterfly flaps its wings, and it starts to rain. And you could step outside your door and happen to be at the right place at the right time. So get up, go outside, go for a walk, get a bagel. Because you don't know what could happen. And if this particular incident didn't happen, if he hadn't have gone and gotten a bagel, he probably would have never met their mother. So go outside, go for a walk, get a bagel. Now, I don't want to drag this video out any further than it has, so I think I'm just gonna end it there. Tell me in the comment section below who your favorite How I Met Your Mother character is. And if you're not watching How I Met Your Mother, let me know if this has changed your perspective on actually watching the show, or if this just solidified or rekindled your love for the show. If you like this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that big red subscribe button. Liking, commenting, subscribing, it all helps me to continue to make these videos and to continue to improve these videos. So please like this video, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And if you want to see me live and hang out with me, I do stream on Twitch every Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time at twitch.tv/DillShelby13. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram at DillShelby13. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I will be posting videos twice a week, assuming my camera doesn't overheat a million times like it did when I was trying to record this video. Yeah, I'm not happy. It took me a whole day to film this, and not happy about that. Not happy about that. Anyway, guys, I will see you either in my next video or in my stream. Bye for now.